Tell me the story how you started making the pottery that you make today.
So I've been making pottery since I was 15. So that's 20 years, which is crazy when I sit down and think about it. Like, I cannot believe that it's been that long. But the pottery that I'm making today kind of came out of a residency that I did at Watershed. And at that residency, Jack Troy was the lead artist there, and we all went there to do a wood firing with him. And I got a chance to watch him throw on the wheel one day, and he showed me a little bit about how he alters the lip of his pieces and how he adds a little bit of texture to the body of his pieces. And at this time, I had been doing different types of atmospheric firings, and I was looking for a way to kind of embellish my surface without necessarily going in and like painting a design on it, because I didn't want to do a detailed underglaze painting and then have it get like covered with wood ash in a wood firing. I wanted the surface to be open so that if you get like a good flashing spot, it would highlight something like that. So what I do now is I do what I call my signature style, and it's kind of inspired by Jack, where at the end of throwing my piece on the wheel, I alter my lip a little bit so it has a little bit of like wobble, a little bit of fluidness to it. And then I'll drag my finger all the way up and all the way down the piece and kind of put these organic ridges in the side of the pieces. Like, actually, you could see it right here. This is the physical texture that I make on my piece. So I do this up and down once when it's on the wheel, and then I come back a second time on the day that I trim, and I do it again with the edge of my loop tool. And this style pottery is like what I've come to currently and what I'm creating. And I want all of the bodies of my forms to kind of have this signature style on it so that people know that I made it.
That is so interesting because I would always get those by accident, but you're doing those on purpose.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah. And I feel like it takes you a long time in pottery to come to a point where you're comfortable making pots that aren't perfect. Like, when you first get started on the wheel, you make this bowl and the bowl has a circle shape, and you don't want to even move the bowl off the wheel head because it's like perfect and you don't want to ruin it. But when you get to a point where you're like, how do I, like, I have the skill to make the piece. How do I put my signature style onto this piece? How do I make it own? Like, put my thumbprint on it? How do I make it look like it came from my hand?
So, as you mentioned, like you got comfortable with messing up the pottery. When did you start becoming comfortable with messing up your pottery?
Well, I don't know if I'd really say like messing it up, or if I'd say like becoming more comfortable with changing the format of the surface, like wanting the surface to have a texture on it versus wanting to make like a perfect bowl that didn't have a texture on it. I'd say it took me a couple years into ceramics, like probably like a good like 6 to 8 years to come to the point where I didn't want to make things that looked like you could buy them from a store that came from a factory. I wanted to make things that looked human, that had my thumbprint on them, that really had that handmade quality.